So what is juvenile life insurance? We'll learn that and more coming up on Practical Insurance Tips. Hello and welcome to Practical Insurance Tips. My name is Francyne Walker, and joining me today is Alvin Lynn III from Option Insurance Group, here to talk about juvenile life insurance. Hi, Alvin.
How you doing?
I am great. How are you?
Awesome, thanks.
Good. So, Alvin, let's talk about juvenile life insurance. What is that?
Well, its primary purpose is to pay a death benefit to the beneficiary if a child passes away prematurely.
Are there any uses for that type of insurance?
Well, what we commonly hear is that juvenile insurance can be used for school. Juvenile insurance or child insurance can be used for other things. That's what we usually hear, especially that it matures as you mature, and
Sure.
then you become an adult, and then you can take it over. There are other uses that you can use it for, but its primary purpose is, as I stated in the very beginning.
Does it have a cash value then?
Well, and what you're speaking about, if you take the title away, that's actually whole life insurance. Whole life insurance does exactly that.
Okay.
Over time, it builds a cash value. Yeah.
So there's two different types of juvenile life insurance then?
Well, the most common is the whole life type.
Okay.
I'm almost certain, haven't heard of it much, but that would be term. And what term life does, it actually runs a term and then it cuts off. So therein lies the conversion. So that type of policy, with a term policy, it matures and you are able to convert it typically to a whole life policy.
So you mature, you're an adult, you convert that policy. Are the premiums the same?
That's a very, very good question. And I will say typically not, but if a person gets a child policy, insurance policy,
Sure.
and is healthy when it starts, no underwriting, and maybe a person contracts some type of illness or something like that, that would typically stop them from getting an insurance policy.
Sure.
Well, with this, there is no underwriting. So the conversion, the policy may increase a little bit, the premium
Sure.
may increase a little bit. However, there's no underwriting, so there's no chance of being denied.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No, it's not. I mean, that kind of offsets the increase in the premium.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. It really is. Yeah.
So when should someone get a policy like this?
That's a very good question, and I would seriously consider, because you can actually get a policy on a child when they are an infant. So we're talking about days old. You can actually get an insurance policy for that child.
Oh, wow. That sounds easy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it
what's
does.
hard is the conversation.
Well, it is, because usually when you think about an insurance policy, a life insurance policy, what do you think? It is for
Death.
That's exactly right. So, and honestly, this type of policy, its primary purpose is in case the child passes away. So yes, the conversation can be really hard, especially with a parent. I can't imagine. I'm a parent. I can't imagine having to bury my son,
Exactly.
right? I can't imagine
Me
that.
neither.
So it would be hard. However, if you take a look at it and look at what it can actually do and remove the fact that scares you, which, oh my gosh, I'm getting an insurance policy, that means, it doesn't mean that, right? You're just being proactive, and all things being equal, you may be adding value to your child's life
Right.
on the monetary side. Education, they can take over that policy when they become 25, 26 years old. They pay it on their own, and then they already have a life insurance policy in place without having to go through underwriting.
Okay. So basically you prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and you look at it as a benefit on the life side as well as the death side.
Sure.
Even though it's a hard thing to consider.
Let's face it, right? Let's just be really, really real, right? The fact is, at some point we're all going to pass away, and another truth is we don't know when. I really encourage parents to talk about it and not be afraid to discuss it. And I'm going to tell a story. My wife has a very good friend at work. Her grandson was in an automobile that he was the passenger in, just graduated high school.
Oh my.
He was the passenger that passed away. They did not have an insurance policy. They had to do a GoFundMe account for this young man that would have been otherwise going to college. So when we think about that, no, we can't imagine that actually happening.
Yes.
However, just imagine this. If you have something in place that will relieve that part of the burden, it actually will help, in this case, the parents that I'm talking about. They had to ask for money and come out of whatever savings they may have had.
Right.
To make, that's additional stress. That's an additional burden, and that part is avoidable.
Especially on top of grieving
That's exactly
your
right.
child.
Yeah.
And then have to do that. Wow.
So you don't know.
You don't.
You don't know, and I don't mean to. I hope I'm not sounding crass or anything, but
No.
the reality is the reality. We don't know. Insurance in this case is in a place to help on that side. Can't remove the emotion. Can't remove the
death.
the
Yeah,
sadness. You can't
absolutely.
remove that. But you surely can have something in place where you're receiving some help
Yes.
on the monetary side.
Wow. Anything you want to add?
Well, yeah, I do. As hard as these kind of conversations are, you can actually approach that by not being fearful, but by sitting down and actually talking to one another, significant other, spouse, talking to one another about the effect that it can have if something like that were to happen.
And that's where you would come in.
I can help, sure. I facilitate conversations.
Sure.
I don't go from an emotional standpoint. I actually help with numbers. I actually present the facts as they are.
Right.
I actually help people to understand exactly how the policies are written so that there's no gray areas
Sure.
and no assumptions being made. That's what I do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Alvin.
You're very welcome.
That concludes this edition of Practical Insurance Tips. If you have any questions for Alvin, you can contact him at 888-755-3778, or you can go to his website, Option Insurance Group, or find him on social media under Option Insurance Group. Please share this information with someone you care about, and remember, tune in next time for all your practical insurance tips.